In this video, we're going to review Android Fundamentals 4.1, Clickable Images. Here I am at the website looking at the lesson, and we do want to go and download a couple of assets. If you go to task number 1, there are 3 images that we need, and you can find those images by coming down here where it says download, and we'll open that in another tab. And here you have these 3 images, and you can click the image and then click download, and then when you do this, you have to then save the file. Once you've saved the files, then you'll be set. So let's go ahead and get started with our Android Studio project. Create a new project, and this is going to be the basic activity. Go ahead and select next, and we're going to give this a name. We're going to call this Droid Cafe, and we'll go ahead and we'll leave the API 15, or if you want, you can go to a much newer version. If you take a look at this, Android 5 says 85%. If we go back to KitKat, it says 95%. I mean, that's a pretty good number. And let's go ahead and choose Finish. And once that's done, I recently just updated my Android Studio, and so it happens to show this little assistant. You can close that if you're seeing that. Otherwise, we're brought here to our content_main XML file. Make sure that one's open. And if we come over here, we're looking at the design view. We need to set this up a little bit, change the layout. First, we have our text view, and we want to do a couple things. We want to get rid of this constraint on the bottom so that it's constrained to the top. And then we need to set a margin so that it looks a little cleaner at the top. And then from here, with this text view still selected, let's change a few attributes. Let's set the ID. We're going to call this text intro. And then we're going to change the text itself from hello world to droid desserts. We also want to change the text style, set this to bold, and then the size, we're going to set this to 24 SP. So it should look something like this. Now with this setup, we need to add our images. And first we need to get our images into the project. And so at the moment, if we open our drawable folder, we've got some things here. What I want to do is right click, and we're showing in Explorer. What we want is to go to inside the drawable folder, and then we're going to drag these files from our downloads here. So I'm just going to open this in another window, and I'm going to select my 3 images and move them to the drawable folder. So let's close out of those, and then we'll come back here, and then this is going to refresh, and here we now have our 3 images. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to use the image view, and when you click and drag an image view and you set it on the design, it's going to ask you for the image that you want to use. And here we're referencing an image that's in our project. So notice that we have these little groupings. We want project, and so we'll go ahead and select donut circle and choose OK. Then we want to constrain this, take a top constraint to the bottom of the text, and then a left constraint to the left. Now with this still selected, we want to change this to from 8 to 24 so that our margins are a little bigger and gives us a little cleaner look. Next, we want to give this image view an ID, and we're going to call this donut. And then there's another property here called content description. And the content description, we're going to say donuts are glazed and sprinkled with candy. Next, we want to add another image view. So I'll click and drag that out here, and we're going to select the ice cream circle. Choose OK. From here, we want to constrain this to the bottom of the one above it and then constrain to the left. And we're going to change these margins to 24. Then for the ID, we're going to set this to ice cream. And for its content description, we're going to say ice cream sandwiches have chocolate wafers and vanilla filling. Very good. Let's go ahead and do our third image. Click and drag the image view. And for this one, we want the froyo. Go ahead and select OK. Constrain it to the bottom. Whoops. There we go. And to the left. There we go. And then change our margins. And for this ID, we're going to say froyo. And for the description, content description, we're going to say froyo is premium self-serve frozen yogurt. Notice over here on the left, we've got some warnings. If I can see them individually here, or you can also see the warnings up here. And now we have our list of warnings. If I twirl this open, it's saying, hey, this is hard-coded, you shouldn't do that. But then it gives us a nice thing, it says fix. So let's go ahead and fix that. And for the resource names, let's go ahead and go with this suggested for the droid desserts. Click OK. Let's look at this one. This resource, we're just going to say donuts, make it shorter. And then for this one, for ice cream sandwiches, we're just going to say ice cream sandwiches. And for the last one, we're going to go with froyo. Okay, so we got those warnings taken care of. Next, we want to add a text view that will be the description next to each image. So for that, we're just going to go ahead and select the text view and drag it out here. And for the constraints, we want to constrain it to the left to this image and then all the way to the right for that image. And then for the top constraint, we're going to go to the top of the image that we're connected to. For our margins, let's change these to 24 all around. And let's set the ID to donut_description. Let's change the layout width to match constraint. So now it'll fill the width based on the margins and the constraints. And then finally for the text itself, while we're here under the text attribute here, we're going to change this. And if you start with an @ symbol, then we can get to our string resources. And the string resource we want is donuts. So now notice how it fills the text view with this text that we've already created. All right, let's add another text view for our ice cream sandwiches. Again, the top constraint goes to the top of the image, and then to that side, and then to this side, and then change our margins, 24 all around. Let's change the layout width to match constraint. Let's change our the text itself to the ice cream sandwiches text. Wait, hold on. Ice cream, press tab. Why is that not? Ice cream, press return. There we go. Okay, let's look at our next text view for the froyo, and we'll do the same thing. And set our margins. Set this to match constraint. And for the text, it's froyo. So now your layout should look like this. Now that we've got our layout set up, we can go ahead and get the code ready. One thing we want to do is add some additional string values that we're going to reference. Whenever we press an image, we're going to show a toast message, and the toast message will have certain text. If you come over to the values and you open the strings file, here's all the strings we've used so far. And from here, what I'm going to do, if we go back to the web page, if I go to task number 2, I'm just going to copy and paste this so that it's easier to enter. With those strings ready, now we can go over to the main activity.java class, and we're going to add a method that will display the toast message. And we're going to call this public void display toast, and it's going to take a string called message, and inside the body of this method we're going to say toast and press tab to get the import there, so dot make text, and then we pass in the context, which is going to be get application context, and then we pass in the message, and now we want the duration. And there are a couple of constants on the toast class, and one is called length short. And from there we can also call the show method. So in one line of code we create the toast message and we call show. Now we just need to add onClick handlers so that we can call this method. And if we go to the content_main and we go to the text view, you'll notice within the image view, what we're going to do is add the onClick handler. So if I, down within it, I say onClick, press tab, then I can say, we're going to say show donut order. Oops, don't need to press return. And let's do the same for these other, and then we're going to fix this. Right now we haven't created the methods, but we're going to use Android Studio to make it for us. So we say onClick, and we say show ice cream order. And then for the last one, we're going to say onClick, show froyo order. Now, so again, we've put these onClick handlers within the image views, because once we press or tap the images, then we're going to show that we've selected an order. Now, with this selected, we can do Alt-Enter, and we say create show froyo view in main activity, and there it created it for us. And if we go back, we can do the same for this method here. When you click within the section, we say create within the method, and we go back and we do one more. There we go. So now we have our 3 methods. So from inside here, next what we're going to do is call the toast message and pass in call the display toast method, and then we're going to pass in the text associated with the string. So in order to do that, we're going to say display toast is our method that we're calling. Now we're going to say get string, and from here we're going to go to the R class, which is the compiled class of all of our resources, and so we're going to say string, and then it's, for this one, for froyo, it is froyo order message is the string. Now I can go ahead and copy and paste this, and we'll just add that to the other methods. And then we need to change this text for ice cream order message, and for donuts it is the donut order message. So to review, we've got all of our onClick methods within the image views, and that's going to then pass a string, which is the order message that we added to our strings file. And this order message will then get presented as a toast message. And let's take a look at that. Let's run this. So now here is our app, and if I tap the donut, it says you ordered a donut. If I tap ice cream, you ordered ice cream sandwich, and you ordered a froyo. Awesome. Next, what we need to do is change this icon and then add a behavior to it. If I go ahead and click this, it's going to throw up, it says replace with your own action. Because right now, in the basic activity, it just gives you the layout, but it doesn't actually give you any implementation of what to do once you click it. So let's go back to our code. Let's stop this. And first thing we want to do is change that icon. So instead of an email, we want to change it to a shopping cart. First thing we'll do is we're going to go into on the res folder for the resources, and inside the drawable, I'm going to right click and I want to choose new, and then we want to choose image asset. Now this brings up a number of things, and what we're going to do is under the icon type, we want to select action bar and tab icons. Now from here, we want to give this a name. So the name we're going to change this to is IC_shopping cart. And then when you click here under clip art, it will bring up the list of all the available open source clip art images that you can use within your app. And from here, I can sort, I can say cart, and we want this one that's called shopping cart. So go ahead and click OK. Make sure that the theme is set to hollow dark. That way it's a white image on the background. So we'll keep that. And then it asks you to confirm this is the information, and we'll go ahead and choose finish. So now in our drawable folder, we have our shopping cart images. But in order to get this showing, we need to update the code. Now, for some reason in the lesson, if you look at the lesson, and I don't know why this is, but it tells you how to add a new icon, but then it actually doesn't tell you how to get the icon to show up. So let's fix that. Because we are smart, we know what to do. What we're looking at is, notice we have our content main XML file, and this represents the content within the app, but there's also the activity_main XML file. If I open that, here we are looking at the information that is associated for the app bar, the toolbar, as well as the floating action button. And notice here, and we're in the text view, the source compat, the image for this says IC dialog email. We want to change that to @ and we're going to say the name of it, which is IC_shopping cart, and then I'm going to press tab and that'll autocomplete it. So now we reference this. Now it shows this error and vector drawable compat. This has to do with changing of the support library and other things at the moment. You can go into that, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because this will work on the device that we're testing with. But that's something to fix when you get to testing against other devices. I'm just going to skip that for now. So what we've done is we've updated the image. So now when we run the app, it'll show that correct image. The next thing we want to do is go back to our main activity.java class, and here within the floating action button, we have the onClick listener, and then if you look at this and you twirl this open, there's this onClick method, and we're going to change this. So let's go ahead and delete that information. What we're going to do is launch into another activity. In order to launch into another activity, first we need to create one. So if we go up to our Java folder and we go to our class folder here, and then we right click, we're going to create a new activity, and we come down here to this, and what we're looking at is an empty activity. And for the empty activity, we're going to call this order activity, and we'll go with the defaults here and choose finish. And from here, this is just going to launch into an empty activity. Now, we're not going to do anything with it in this lesson, but you get the idea. So once that's created, now if I go back to our main activity, now within this onClick handler, what we're able to do is create an intent and launch into the new activity. And we've done this before, so it goes pretty straightforward. We say intent, and I press tab, and that imports that for me. And then we're going to call this intent equals new intent, and then we're going to say main activity dot this, which is our context, and then we're saying order activity dot class. So that's the intent, and then we say start activity, and we pass in the intent. All right, so that's everything we need to do. So let's go ahead and run this. And from here, notice the icon has changed, so it shows the shopping cart. And when we click that, it goes to our new activity. If I click the back button, then we're back to where we are. If I click an image, you ordered a donut, ice cream sandwich, and froyo. Very good. So here is the end of the lesson. Pretty straightforward. What we've done is we've added image views, we've added text views, and we've added onClick handlers to our images, and then we've called a method that displays a toast message, which is a brief message that shows up and fades away. And then we've modified the floating action button, created a custom image for that, and launched into another activity. I hope this was helpful. Be sure to like and subscribe and check out the next video. Thanks.